say 7 o'clock. I don't want to be punctual or nothing.
It's been set for 2 minutes till. Call the meeting to order. Will you please stand and pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Norris will give us the invocation. We gather tonight, Lord, to just remember for a minute our loved ones that's gone on, the memory of family and community and nation, the sacrifices made and the love shared. We thank you, Lord, so much. Thank you for the laughter we've heard tonight in this place, for the good days that we can look forward to. Help us as a council, unify us as a city, bring out the best in us and the efforts that we have. In Jesus' name, amen. Got home today. Good. Doing good.
Benell? Gaunt?
Yes, ma'am.
Honeycutt?
Here.
Kirkpatrick? Lowry?
Here.
Neal? Norris?
Here.
Trigg? Witcher?
You have the minutes of our last meeting in front of you. The only thing that probably should change under our city department reports, where it says landfill and it goes on to explain, it should say transit. And then where it says transit, it should have said landfill. Mona found that, and she's correcting it before it goes in the minutes of the book. But if you look at that, they just need to be interchanged. So there's no other corrections or additions or deletions from the minutes other than those two headings to be swapped. I'm going to take a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Motion with those exceptions.
Motion by Councilman Benell, second by Councilman Patrick. All those approved, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Two things before we get into the meeting. I just found out a few minutes ago that Councilman Norris' wife has had some surgery, open heart surgery. She's home today, doing well. So everybody here on the council, everybody out there, just continue to put her in your prayers, because sometimes recovery time can be more than you expect. But Freddie, we're glad to hear that Loretta's home. And then the second thing is, in our last meeting, I made several comments about our emergency food and shelter board meeting that we had January the 25th. It was on Zoom. But I made a comment about some numbers pertaining to community relief. Those numbers, I got the actual hard copy the next day after this meeting. Those numbers that I quoted was the numbers for community action, which is completely different to community relief. I do have community relief's numbers, and it basically is completely different to that. And I didn't want to make anybody think that they were keeping the money back, but at that point in time, community action had $1.25 million to distribute. And community relief is who the city uses to make those distributions for the any grants that we can get that go for food, utilities or shelter. And we also every year give the same amount into them. They're worthy. If it wasn't for them, the city could not serve near the people they do. And they do a great job, and I didn't want to overshadow that by making a wrong statement and cause anybody to go, well, they don't need the money, I'm not going to give this year. So that's the last thing I wanted to say, and I want to apologize for making the wrong comment. But I do have the paperwork now to back up that that was a mistake. And here to tell us a little bit about what they do and what they sure that it's up where people can hear you, Stacy.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for making that correction. I was concerned about that amount being listed, that Community Relief was sitting on $1 million, that we wouldn't get the donations that we would need to take care of the people in Barron County and Glasgow. Typically, our budget is about $189,000 a year. It is up a little bit this year due to COVID and the extra funds that have come in through the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, but those are all funds that are restricted for certain things. The Emergency Food and Shelter is just for housing that we've received so far for the CARES Act. There's other funding that we have been asked to administer, the $200,000 that the mayor spoke of in the last meeting. We have been asked by Glasgow, Cave City, Park City, and Barron County to administer those funds, but we have not been approved for those yet, so we don't have those funds, and they are highly restricted. Those will be for utilities only. But right now, Community Relief, we have two employees, one full-time and one part-time. We're down one. We had one that passed away with COVID a couple weeks ago. We are a small organization. We do our best to meet everybody's needs in Barron County. Not everybody's always happy about the things that we require, but the board sets those guidelines, and we do our best to take care of everybody. Mostly utilities, which is electric and water, and housing, which would be rent or mortgage, and then the food assistance. So if anybody has any questions, or if there's any other information I can get you, I'd be more than happy to.
What days are you all open now?
We are open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Y'all do a great job. We enjoy working with you with the bridge, and thank you. Appreciate y'all, and it's a great partnership. So.
Thank you very much. You all have a nice evening.
Thank you for coming and talking to the council. Next item on the agenda is under the city department reports each meeting, and tonight's first one to speak is Chief Rogers of the Glasgow Fire Department.
All right, first of all, I'll let y'all know that we are fully staffed right now. It's been a while since we've been to the fully staffed mark at the fire department, but we are fully staffed at this time. We are expecting some retirements this year. It's just the cycle that we're on where people are getting to their retirement, and so we'll be expecting some of those this year. In 2020, we had 1,054 runs, with 71 of those being fire runs, actual, fire. 346 being a rescue or emergency medical incident, and 333 of those were service calls. And the service calls is anything from lifting the physically disabled, smoke investigations, unauthorized burning, people that are locked out of their cars or houses or things like that. So far this year, we've had 429 runs, with 31 of those being fires, 157 of them rescue and emergency medical calls, and 124 were service calls. In 2020, we completed 415 fire prevention inspections. This number was extremely down, but with the COVID, a lot of places were closed. They were restricting people coming in and things like that. So we kind of tried to keep our inspectors out as much as we could, but now that restrictions are starting to loosen up, our inspectors are back out in full force, so they'll be getting back out and doing those inspections again. We added 2 new sets of electric jaws last year through a FEMA grant. We've been extremely impressed with these, with the capabilities of the tools. We did have a set of these before we applied the FEMA grant to get these 2 sets. They operate a lot faster than the hydraulic tools. They've got more power. It just makes getting them to the incident a lot easier too. We don't have 3 different pieces of equipment that we got to take 2 to run 1. So we can just grab a piece of equipment, hit the power button, and we're ready to go. So it's really been effective. As you can see on the agenda tonight, we're asking to apply for another grant. We're asking to apply for the Kentucky Fire Commission facilities grant. What this is, we're wanting to do some repairs at our training facility. The paginite, which covers the walls, is starting to get in some bad shape. We need to replace some of that so that we can continue to do live fire burns in there. We're applying to paint the entire training facility there. Just spruce the outside of it up, basically, seal some cracks and things like that. So, and the good thing about the Fire Commission grant, it's a zero match grant. So it's fully funded by the Fire Commission on that one. We're working at this time right now to replace the cabinets and countertops at Station 1. And I'd like to give a big thanks to Lowe's for helping us with this. They've worked very tirelessly on their pricing to make sure that we got what we needed for the station. So, and the work that's going to be performed will be performed by the guys on duty and stuff. So that's about all I had for it. If you got any questions.
Chief, have you finished pressure testing on all the hydrants?
We're actually nearing the end of that right now. Once we finish the ones out here, we'll actually start going and testing at the factories and things like that, the ones that they actually have around them. And then, but probably within the next week or two, we should be done with all the ones along the city streets.
The reason I asked that, we've had a lot of calls. Chief, I asked him when the first one went out, you have a fire truck and then have a pickup following it, and they go and they do the pressure check. And when they do that, people will call me, why does it take a fire truck and a pickup truck just to go up and drive around and come back? I said, well, we're stopping and testing the pressure on your fire hydrants. So I think the public is about aware now that they're doing something when they go out. And I just wanted to verify that you're getting close on that.
And the reason we have to take two out is while we're flowing one, we're actually checking how much pressure is left in the line from another hydrant. That way, if we were to have to hook to two hydrants, we know if we've got the pressure that we need or not.
That's one of the things that keeps our ISO rating down, so your insurance is at a 2 instead of a 5 or 6.
Yep.
So, thank you, Chief.
Chief, looking out, question I have, looking out, maybe the next year, or even 2 years down the road, what challenges are you seeing the fire department having, whether it be personnel or equipment?
Personnel's becoming more of a problem. Seems like we get them trained, get their certificates, and then they want to go to a different city that pays more. I mean, that's just basically what it comes down to. The number of applicants have went down. I know when I tried out, there was like 120 applications. The last hiring cycle we had 30 applicants. So the number of people that's wanting to go into the public safety side has really drastically dropped from what it used to be. And that's a combination of things, you know. I think one of the biggest things is the change in the retirement system. So it's not as appealing as what it once was as far as the retirement system is. We did speak in our budget meetings about next year. We're probably going to be needing to ask for a new fire engine. The repairs that we're doing on one of them, we've got one that's back in reserve right now, and we have problems with the brakes on it just about every time we take it out. And the problem with it was they tried putting disc brakes all the way around the truck. And well, with disc brakes on a truck that big, it's kind of hard to stop. And I think they tried it for 1 year, and then they went back to the drum brakes on the rear. So.
Work going on the old one, the old fire engine there, I noticed
Yes.
parts on the ground when I was in there the other day.
Yes, we was having a problem with the drive shaft. The bearing that goes into the PTO is out, and one of the guys that's on the department, him and another gentleman are actually working on that. They're working on trying to get that bearing out to see if we can get it replaced or if we're going to have to do something different. Yeah, but we want it drivable, that's for sure. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next presentation will be from our department, Glasgow Police Department, Chief Arbogast.
Hello. All right. I cannot say that I am fully staffed. I am one shy of being fully staffed. the biggest problem with that is I have four. One that just graduated about a month ago or whatever. He is in the PTO program, so that's a 13 weeks. So it's 13 weeks before he can be a solo unit and actually be out on his own. I have three that will leave for the academy in June. And that's pending that all three will pass the academy. But three that will leave in June, and then it will be like November before they graduate, and then you're looking at then 13 weeks, so a year and a half before before they're ready to be a solo unit. We tested 3 today, and 3 failed, so we wait for those applications to come back in and redo it again. I have one that will retire the end of the month, so that will put me 2 short. I have another one that will retire in September, and then that will be another one. So it is getting harder and harder, to answer Councilman Vanel's question, it is getting harder and harder to get people to want to do this job. So pay is a big thing. You don't want your department to be just a training ground. You want it to be a community-oriented thing where all of you know us by name. We know the people. You know, you want it to be like a family, and that's hard if we're just a spinning wheel that we train them for 3 years and they go find somewhere else that pays them $5 more an hour. But we are getting there slowly. Animal control is fully staffed. That much. Animal control is fully staffed and doing well. And I'll give you some numbers on those. Overall, our building is okay. The only thing I see really coming up that we're going to need to work on is maybe the floor. It's got some old carpet in it, and that's not real good with the weather and different things coming in and officers tracking in stuff. And so we probably need to work on that. The only big thing I see that we'll need sometime soon too, besides our vehicles, that it seems like a police officer always needs equipment and can never never have enough of it. Besides our vehicles, is I would like to see at some point, not anytime soon, but at some point I would like to see another flagpole put out to fly the Commonwealth flag alongside, because we have the American, the POW. We used to fly the city flag. I'm going to have to see about getting it replaced. It got pretty ragged there at the end, so. All right, so these are 2020 numbers. Total calls of service for 2020 was over 23,000 for GPD, 23,074 to be exact. You can add another approximately 5,000 of that probably comes in, that doesn't get CADed. The 23,000 is just what comes into dispatch that actually has a CAD to it that had some type of report to it. The other calls would be just where they came by the PD and needed something. I think we put in 40 in the pandemic. We gave 40 car seats away. Or they called dispatch and just needed to speak with an officer, and it doesn't necessarily, maybe they just had a question. So there was 601 felonies in 2020. 787 misdemeanors that was actually reports done, 227 e-calls. 507 times we assisted other agencies. Mental evals, suicidal subjects, we had 662. Domestic disturbances, we had over, 1,284. Burglary, panic alarms, 1,302. Alcohol, drug complaints was 637. Motor vehicle accidents with injury was 462. Juvenile complaints was 349. Subject with a weapon was 194. Shots fired call was 164. So there's probably more numbers I could go in through and give you, but that's the basics of the 2020. calls. Now, CID handled, in 2020, they handled 150 cases. They're already up in 2021 to 73 cases as we stand right now. So they're going to have quite a bit more than that. Calls for 2021 so far for GPD is 13,611. 1,302 burglary alarms, 437 domestic so far. 216 felonies so far for 2021, 210 misdemeanors, 103 e-calls. So as you can see, the numbers are climbing, and they will. And it's just the times and the way things are right now, but we'll get through it. On our animal control, in 2020, their total numbers, I'm not going to go through all those, I'll just give you their total numbers, was 4,037 for 2020, and in 2021, they're up to 282 right now. So that's just some basic numbers. You're more than welcome to come by and see us anytime. Please come and ride with us. I encourage you to get involved with us and see everything that these officers do. They're pretty amazing, I think, so. No, I can't go that far. I will give you a vest if you want a vest, but I can't go that far. So.
I guess what trends are you seeing develop that are causing you concerns? I mean, there's a lot of numbers you threw out there, but of that trend line, where we've seen more of this or more of that, what alarms you?
Drugs is a big issue. We are having some, we just got back from the lab, some lab reports. We're getting pure fentanyl in Glasgow, pure fentanyl. We're getting heroin. We're getting, LSD. We're getting ecstasy. It's here.
Get rid of it.
I wished I could, but we are fighting to try. There's more violence right now. As you see, of course, we had a bad incident last night, and I can't go into that, but most of you that know, have seen the news know that we had a tough thing. But it's getting into where there's something going on all the time. Of course, most of you know about the standoff that we was on. Those are things you didn't used to see in Glasgow. You didn't hear a lot about. It's more,
You credit that drugs, you credit it for hopelessness, you credit that to, what's your opinion for those strikes?
Drugs is a lot of it. Of course, we're having a lot of difference in mental states come down, 72 hours and stuff that's come through. For one, 2020 was a really tough year, and it caused a lot of, depression and different things. It's a hard time. Our country went into a rough time, and now we got to recover from it. Our nation is crying for help, but overall, we're very thankful because our community supports us tremendously.
So you don't get a lot of pushback from a national exposure?
No, sure, we have a few things come up,
Right.
but in all, they just want answers, and we give them answers, and they're like, we're good with that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be more pleased with our community.
Not to mention the officer safety and dangers that they are faced with when they go out on duty. With that being said, there has to probably be emergency calls being on hold because of the short shift manpower, correct?
Yes. Last night, it happened. The weekend before it happened, we've had a couple of weeks it's been tough. And yes, when we have these big calls, we go, last night's incidents, and I'll just sum it up short. there was actually 4. One was en route to Western State, so that left 3 on the street. Well, when an incident like that happens, it takes all 3 until we can get more power there. Well, calls are still coming in. Calls are still coming in. Calls are still needing to be answered. You expect them answered. You as a community expect us to answer them. It doesn't matter what it is. Because to the public, whether it be the smallest call or a major crisis, to them, that call is still important.
If you had a break-in in progress or a domestic, that would have had to be, that's not priority, correct? If you had all shift on your.
Oh, it's a priority if I had a burglary, but I got to find the manpower to get there.
Right, so basically, in order to fix this issue, it's manpower.
It's manpower. You need more, you do, you need more officers on the street. The crime rates went up, but the allotted officers that GPD is allowed has not. Now, there is a grant out there, the COPS grant. I have talked to April about it. I have not had a chance to talk to the mayor about it. It's back, you know, and I don't know. That's something that the mayor is going to have to bring forth and us discuss, but it would be a way to help get possibly up to 3 more officers.
So Chief Arbogast, what is your breakdown of officers from the top of the chain of command down to patrol?
The chief, the major, 2 captains. I don't have the lieutenants right now. Not that I don't, I don't want them. It's just they wasn't ready yet. There is 8 sergeants total. And the reason being is I don't have the lieutenants filled yet, so that's why there's 8 sergeants there. And then you have your patrol. Of course, you have CID, which holds 1 of those sergeants and 3 officers. You have the street crimes unit that holds 1 sergeant and 1 officer, which is right now on a special detail. I can't go into that. The rest is patrol. Now, well, I'm sorry, I take that back. You have your school resource officers, because when we say we have 38 officers, that is including the school resource officers. 2 is part-time, and 2 is not. So your high school and your middle school are full-time officers right now. Your Highland Elementary and your South Green is part-time.
What do they do when school's out? Is that just the part-time, they just work when school's in?
Yes, usually they just work when school's in.
So how many patrolmen did you say? I missed that one.
So if you count our schools, it's 38, and that's counting me all the way down, that's 38. If you count the school resource officers, which are not always there.
I think she was saying just how many patrolmen.
Just patrolmen minus us?
Minus the
Oh.
sergeants.
Yeah.
I would have to get that list. Let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12,
About 16.
16, 18, I think. And I can get you that exact number. I just don't have it in front of me right now.
So, can I ask a question, and this probably breaks some law or something, but I mean, if y'all are all covered up, does the call go to the sheriff's department? Or
No,
vice
we
versa?
get it. We get it. No, it comes to us.
No, but I'm
They
saying.
will,
you've got
if it's-
3 people on,
If it's an emergency, the sheriff's department will help us out.
I would think y'all would reciprocate, because there'd be times where they're busy. I mean,
They-
is that what happens, or is that like?
There's times that they're busy that we answer calls for them. They helped last night with us.
Okay.
They helped on the standoff with us. If they're available, they will help if they're in town.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
So, now sometimes though, that deputy may be all the way in
Yeah.
Austin Tracy. So it's gonna take a little bit to get there.
So do y'all grid out like crimes by north, south, east, and west? I mean, do you know which sectors crimes are?
Yeah, but we don't run sectors.
Well, whatever you
Yeah.
call it. I mean,
But yes, we know where,
sectors
biggest-
is a picture.
but right now, it's just happening everywhere. I mean, would you have thought that Ann Avenue would have took a hit like it took last night?
All right, this may be a dumb question, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, since I don't
they're paid by the school. They're paid the part-time are paid different from what the full-time officers are paid. So the part-time is paid a certain amount, and then they're paid by the school. The majority of their funding comes from the school to us. And so yes, like if it's overtime, there's a certain amount that they can do. But here's the way with your part-time. They don't want to work. Does that make sense? I mean, they're there to, I want to do 9 months out of the year, I want to do this, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to work a road unit. I don't want to be a road unit anymore.
It just looked like it would have been more safe to me, instead of hiring a new officer and possibly losing that officer after you pay for training, to go to a department that paid more money. It looked to me like it would have been.
We have a contract that helps department.
Yes, we have a 3-year contract.
So if they leave before 3 years, we're going to get paid back
Yes.
a large percentage of what we spend.
So that's the reason I said we're on like a 3 or 4 year turnaround, because they'll stay, their contract is up, and then somebody offers them $20-some an hour, 25. Well, and like the chief said, with the fire, our retirement is different now. The retirement is not as appealing as it once was. Theirs is more of a 401k, their insurance is not paid for, so naturally they're going to go where the money's at. They need to make the money.
So Chief, what the city estimated just went up, what was it, 12, 14% to 37%, starting from July 1, what extra would have to pay on the retirement schedule. So we're putting out more money and having the same number of officers. But last year and this year both, we have put raises in for all the way across the board. Not as much as we could, or not as much as we wish we could, but we have continued to put raises in there. And hopefully, in the next few years, we'll be able to get them up closer to other departments, to where that when that 3 years is up, they'll say, well, I like it here, it costs me less to live here. $2 an hour is not worth me going to another Bowling Green or E-Town or something like that. And the chief is building the department for the restructure the same. So it's a matter of us being able to pay the ones, because we're getting a lot of older officers that's going to retire, and having to replace them when they're just going to be there 3 or 4 years is a job for her and for the city. Bless them.
There's some young officers, but I will tell you one thing. They're loyal to this community. They're very loyal to this community. As long as you're showing them something, as long as you're giving them something, and they'll continue to be loyal, as long as you show them something to show that you appreciate them, and they see that the city is trying to better and work with the surrounding competition, more or less you might say we have, but they're very loyal to this community.
You got some great people. You got
They
some
are.
great-
They're outstanding. I couldn't ask for better
That's why I
officers.
ask you, because I see you at a lot of places, I mean, in your structure being short, or only 16 patrolmen and running shifts, do the sergeants and them have to run shifts if you're short shift? I mean, I'm assuming.
The sergeants run the shifts. The sergeants take calls. They
Right.
take calls just like the patrolmen do, but they also have a job of making sure their ones under them are safe. The captains will go out and take calls. The major will go out and take a call. The chief will go out and take a call. I answered some today. Never forget where you came from.
Yeah, well,
So,
I
but,
know I've seen you at a lot of places
and they know that. They respect that, so you guys got a good bunch of officers.
Thank you,
Good.
Chief, not only for the report, but thank you what you do. Next item of business is Municipal Order 2021. You had in your packet last week the proposed appointment of Sam Terry to the Fort Williams.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number 2021-blank. On order of the mayor, Sam Terry is hereby appointed to the Fort Williams Restoration Commission to to fulfill the 4-year unexpired term of Bob Reese. This appointment is a 4-year term expiring August 31st, 2024, and is subject to approval of the Glasgow City Council this 24th day of May, 2021. Harold Armstrong, Mayor, Mona Simmons, City Clerk.
Having heard this municipal order, do I have a motion to accept this appointment?
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Norris and one by Councilman Lowry. As a second. All those approved signify by saying aye. Those opposed, like sign. Sam Terry is hereby appointed to the Fort William Restoration. And you should have also in your packet another appointment that we'll propose before you. Did you put that?
No, I didn't, because I didn't think we had it confirmed.
There's, I'll go ahead and give it to you verbally. No, I'll give it to you as we get through with the meeting. I was supposed to got a call back this afternoon, but a second party said that they would serve, so I'm going to give you all that tonight so that we will be fully staffed for our June outing up there to do some repairs and get that worked out. But before we leave tonight, I'll tell you, all of you, who that is proposed.
Just for the public, we'll just tell them at that June meeting, they will meet up there and they will start to formulate a plan going forward for Fort Williams.
For everything that's been on since pandemic, everything, the last thing we did up there was Roger over at the street department sent some guys up there, and you couldn't read the big plaques that you walk up to and read because the plexiglass had turned in color. We thought we were going to have to replace the plaque, the plexiglass and everything, but they were able to take that off and buff them and not vapor lock them, but put them back in place to where that now they can read. That was the first thing on the list, and that was done during the pandemic. But the other three things are the fencing, and we've ordered the flag. It's getting pretty. Anything that has been left off because of the pandemic, we're going to try to get an agenda and get those things repaired. In the June meeting, that's what they're going to go over. But I'll give you the other name. I just, without him calling, I thought he'd call back in after I left. But proposed person for that fourth place. But we'll go over that shortly. Next item of business is first reading of an ordinance formally accepting multiple streets into the city maintenance system as proposed and recommended by the Joint City-County Commission, City-County Planning Commission in 1979. But it goes a little bit further than that. There are streets on this list that were done in the 50s and early 60s that was approved verbally, but there hasn't been an ordinance naming those streets. So if you see one on here that says, wait a minute, that was done in 1954, we've been maintaining it, and anything that was approved under the guidelines in 54, 55, or 56, but it never was finalized, this blanket ordinance is going to bring them officially into the city, even though we've been doing maintenance for some of them 65 or 70 years. But we're going to get it on the books to where the street department goes out to pave a street, they don't have to look back and see if it was formally put in here. And tonight will be the first reading of that formal document, so we can have a precise list that has every city that was to be approved and wasn't. It will be done after the second reading of this.
City of Glasgow Ordinance Number 2021-blank, an ordinance formally accepting multiple streets into the city street maintenance system as proposed and recommended by the Joint City-County Planning Commission on December the 11th, 1979. Whereas motion was made and approved by the Joint City-County Planning and Zoning Commission on December 11th, 1979 to accept 76 streets into the Glasgow City street system, but the process was never formally completed by final passage of an appropriate Glasgow ordinance. And whereas some of those streets, avenues, or roads have been adopted by specific ordinance or are owned by Barron County or the Kentucky Highway Maintenance System, and some no longer exist and cannot now be adopted, and whereas the roads stated below are the remainder of that list of streets which have been maintained by the Glasgow Street Department for more than 10 years and should be formally adopted as Glasgow streets, even though some would not qualify for adoption if proposed for adoption today for the first time. Now, this is a listing of the streets: Briarwood Street, Bryce Avenue, South Broadway Street, West Brown Street, Bryan Street, Bunch Avenue, Caldwell Street, Carver Court, Cheatham Street, Clark Street, Claiborne Street, Combs Boulevard, Cross Street, Devashier Court, Drain Avenue, Eastview Drive, Ellis Avenue, Ellison Avenue, North Franklin Street, South Franklin Street. Now you notice some asterisks there. There's a portion of South Franklin that's a state road. That portion's not included here. Fraser Avenue, West Front Street, Garnett Avenue, High Street, Highland Avenue, Hill Street, North Honeysuckle Lane, South Honeysuckle Lane, Huggins Drive, Ivy Street, James Street, Joanne Drive, Joe Trailer Avenue, Kilgore Street, Lakeview Drive, Lee Street, Leslie Avenue, Long Hunters Trail, Mallory Drive, McGraw Avenue, Meadow Drive, Mill Street, and you notice an asterisk there. Part of Mill Street is a state road. This is the portion that's not the state road. Mitchell Street, Moss Street, Mulberry Street, Myrtle Street, Newman Street, Nunn Street, Pettigo Street, Porter Street, Reed Avenue, Ridgecrest Avenue, Rogers Road, Scott Street, Shamrock Place, Short Street, Simmons Street, St. Mary's Court, Smiley Court, Sunnybrook Street, Sunset Avenue, Trabue Street, Travis Court, Trimble Avenue, Twin Pines Court, Wade Avenue, Weldon Drive, Western Hills Road, Westview Drive, Wilderness Road, and you'll notice a note there, except the westward portion, intersection Hall Street and Wilderness Road to Foster Court and Willow Drive. Now therefore, be it hereby ordained by the City of Glasgow as follows. Section number 1. The Joint City County Planning Commission met on December 11th, 1979 and passed a motion recommending the acceptance of 76 streets into the Glasgow City Street System for maintenance and all other purposes. Section 2. An ordinance accepting those streets was never formally enacted, and the city has maintained those streets for more than 10 years. Some of these recommended streets are no longer exist, and some have been accepted by other ordinances since 1979. Some of the streets, or part of some, are now Barron County roads or State of Kentucky maintained roads and not appropriate for acceptance as city streets. Listed below are the streets from the original list that are appropriate for acceptance into the city maintenance system and are hereby formally accepted into the Glasgow street system for maintenance and all other purposes. And those are the same streets listed there that I've already read exactly. Section number 4. The Mayor of Glasgow is hereby authorized and directed to complete any and all documents on behalf of the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, necessary to implement this action. That this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its date of passage and publication as required by law. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Attest Mona Simmons, City Clerk. First reading, May 24th, 2021.
Having heard this ordinance read, do I have a motion to accept? Have a motion by Councilman Honeycutt and a second by Councilman Witcher. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. First reading passes. As a matter of point, if you all do not want the whole thing read next time, by law, you can vote to accept it as read this time, and you won't have to go through the listing of all of them. But that'll be up to the next meeting if you want to do it that way. But thank you for sitting through those. It's a lot of them. Next item is a resolution for the City of Glasgow to make application for a Kentucky Fire Commission grant for the Glasgow Fire Department for Training Center drill tower maintenance.
Resolution, City of Glasgow Resolution number 2021-blank, a resolution for the City of Glasgow to make application for a Kentucky Fire Commission grant for the Glasgow Fire Department for Training Center Drill Tower Maintenance. Be it hereby resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that April Russell, grant writer for the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to make application on behalf of the city for a grant in the amount of $28,658.72, administered through the Kentucky Fire Commission, which will be used by the Glasgow Fire Department, if received, for the purpose of training center drill tower maintenance. This grant has no match. Be it further resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary in order to make application for said grant. So adopted this 24th day of May, 2021, Harold Armstrong, Mayor, Mona Simmons, City Clerk.
Having heard this resolution, do I have a motion to accept this reading? Have a motion by Councilman Benell, second by Councilman Neal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Resolution passes. Next item is a resolution, City of Glasgow to make application for a grant administered by the Department of Local Government, Federal Highways Administration.
City of Glasgow Resolution number 2021-blank, a resolution for the City of Glasgow to make application for a grant administered by the Department of Local Government, Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, Federal Aid Program, Recreational Trails Program for the Glasgow Recreation Department, sponsored by Planning and Development Committee. Whereas the City of Glasgow proposes to renovate recreational trail resources and trailhead facilities to provide for the health and well-being of the general public, and whereas the City of Glasgow intends to make application to the Department for Local Government, Federal Highway Administration Federal Aid Program, Recreational Trails Program, and whereas the Recreational Trails Program is limited to funding a maximum of 80% of proposed project cost, estimated at $29,500. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows. Number one, that the City of Glasgow hold in reserve 20%, being $5,900 in-kind cash for the proposed project cost for the purpose of matching the Recreational Trails Program assistance. Number two, that in the event a grant is awarded, the City of Glasgow understands that it will sign assurances to comply with all applicable state and federal laws, rules, and regulations, especially Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. So adopted this 24th day of May, 2021, Harold Armstrong, Mayor, attest Mona Simmons, City Clerk.
Having heard this resolution, I have a motion to accept. Councilman Norris and a second by Councilman Kirkpatrick. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Resolution passes. Having no other business on the schedule, we have several announcements to make. There'll be a special call, Downtown Park Steering Committee meeting Wednesday, May 26th, 5:30 at Green Mechanical at 322 West Main Street here in Glasgow. The city will hold a public meeting to discuss the widening of the multi-use path located at Beaver Creek Park Friday, May 28, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. The meeting will be held here at 126 East Public Square, Glasgow, Kentucky.
Is that just a walking track around Beaver Trails?
Yes, yes. It's had some repair done on it where the roots have roughed it up, plus we're applying for that, are going to apply for that grant to try to widen it. It's getting a lot of use, and that would be exceptional improvement. The ceremonies for Howard Scott Majors will be Saturday, May 29th. The funeral procession from Hardy and Son Funeral Home in Bowling Green will begin at 1 p.m. His remains will be brought to Mary Oaks United Methodist Church Cemetery with great facade services to begin at 2 p.m. This will be a somber ceremony experience for all. We had a joint city-county proclamation signing on May 19th. A copy of the proclamation is included in your packet. This is truly what Memorial Day is all about. Also, the Glasgow Regional Landfill will be closed Saturday the 29th, 2021 in observance of Memorial Day. The annual Memorial Day ceremony will be observed on Monday the 31st, 2021 at the Glasgow Municipal Cemetery beginning at 10 a.m. Also, we're doing some work up there right now. We've been missing a flagpole for about 5 years, and we're going to have that installed. It's supposed to be here on Wednesday, and by the time, Paul, I didn't even call you today, by the time we get the well casing and all fixed at the bottom, we should have it up no later than Thursday or Friday. So you'll finally have your second flagpole back up. The Glasgow City Hall, Glasgow Department of Public Works, Sanitation, Street, Stormwater, Transit, and Landfill will be closed Monday the 31st, 2021 in observance of Memorial Day. Have your Monday and Tuesday garbage and recycling curbside Tuesday, June the 1st at 7 a.m. for pickup. Glasgow Regional Landfill will be closed Saturday the 5th, 2021. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Cruise into Spring car show will be held in downtown Glasgow on Saturday, June the 12th from 8 a.m. till 2 o'clock. Registration begins at 8 a.m. at the gazebo. For more information, you can call 270-651-7255 or 270-670-5548. This is an event that everybody wanted back last fall, but it was just too early, too quick. But now that things are like they are, I'm sure there'll be a huge turnout. Make plans to be here if you can. Monday, June 14th, 2021, 6:45 p.m., we will have our budget hearing for the use of municipal road aid and local government economic assistance funds, and that'll be here in the chamber before our next meeting, which is the same date, Monday, June the 14th at 7 p.m. here in person at Glasgow City Hall, City Council Chambers. This will include the first reading of the 2021 budget. Council members, you have already received your copy of the budget to review, and the CDC guidelines will follow. Is there any other announcements?
I'd like to ask Eddie or Chief one. There was a car that ran through the fence. My understanding is maybe the car was run off the road. It wasn't just vandalism. Is that correct? Okay. That's a big last fence.
Yes. Can we just email you in the morning? Okay? Okay, then I'll send it by pigeon. I'll send yours by pigeon. The individual that was helping us find people to serve on that committee had said, I've talked to so-and-so, he will serve, but I called him back to make sure he would, and he didn't call me back today, so I'll call him again tonight. He hasn't told me he would, so I want to make sure he will, and then we'll email everybody in the morning, except for Marna, and I'll send it by pigeon to her.
Make it a red bird.
Redbirds are not set up for messengers.
Not reliable.
No, they're not reliable. Is there any other announcements to be made?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We may have a motion to adjourn, and a second. You are adjourned. Thank you all. Happy? You seconded it, didn't you?
Maybe I'll continue to pray.
Now,